Welcome back. Just going to look at a couple things. The first thing to look at is going to be a little add-on that I got done. I wanted to look at getting some HUD working last time, so let's take a look at that. Let's just create the server. Not worried about the networking. Okay, so there's these little fellows whipping around, and before there was no way to really see them. Hang on a sec. Hopefully you're not getting too much desktop audio right in your ear. That was blowing my brain out. Hopefully it's recording at a decent level and that my voice is still getting over top of it. Anyhow, that's a background track. Sorry, I was just adjusting the audio there. That background track was another custom bit of music that Jim has made for the project. He's kind of the music director, at least when it comes to making the tracks. For something you don't know, I lost the hearing on my right ear, and I don't hear things quite the way I used to, so I'm leaving some of the music up for decisions up for Jim. Last time I had mentioned during the video that in some playtesting, we'll call it, because it's safe to call it playtesting now with Jim, we're able to do some zipping around in the world together. It's hard to tell where the center of the world is, so right now that white line goes from the center of the craft to the center of the universe. And I'm just going to fly around it here. And you're going to see there's another thing. Camera, this view screen that you're looking at, it kind of sits on a plane. It's a projection, and when you're doing some types of math for marking things, when things go behind the camera, it can get a little bit confusing, especially when you're projecting into the 2D part that the world has to be drawn on. And so what I've done kind of to visualize this and warn the player you're almost opposite away from it is there's no easy way back, because the line kind of points the quickest angle back to the target. When you're too far away, you're just going to get a circle telling you anyway is better than the way you're going. Now, the white line points at the center of the world, but what I added, and working in the library that draws that line, I thought, well, geez, it would be really nice if you could cycle through anything that's a ship in the system. Now, the player ship counts as well, so it hops over the player. But when I push it one more time, you're going to notice it now draws a little selection box, sort of the typical selection box of the actor, we're going to call it, or the ship or vessel in the world that is in the list of things that can be locked on. I can cycle through it. I'm just going to do it one more time here. And now the red line, the white line has gone red in this case, drawing the center of your object to the center of the target. And then also at the center of the target, it's drawing that little sort of selection box that I think universally is known as a selection. Or a lock-on. I think we've all come to realize that over time. But in this case, wow, I'm actually almost drifting to the side at the speed that he's going forward. It works much the same. If you go too far, it won't draw the lock, and the red circle tells you that just simply turning around, you're going to be pointed better. See, if I go to the side, it's telling me the shortest path literally is that. The line will always be the shortest path to your target, or the selected item. I have full control over how that line draws, as to what color and how opaque it is. And the same with the selection, that little selection tool. So when I push tab here, actually what I should do, let's just do this. I'm going to use the boost to get a little bit away. Drop down to 0. There. I'm going to cycle through the selection here. So when it went white, there was nothing to select. And if I just scroll through the objects that are literally in an array of craft that can be selected, it just hops through them. So this would be like jumping through your targetable list in your aircraft. I'm pretty close to the point of being able to install self-tracking weapons, so these would be something that you spawn and take off and they go hit the target. How I'm going to deal with that over the network, I'm not exactly sure yet. I can notify the network of the instance of the spawning of the weapon, the initial heading and orientation of the weapon, and then just give it its destination or targeting information, and then everybody on the network will locally render that weapon, but the weapon's impact will only be tracked on the server. So once you as a player say, the weapon has been created, I was pointing this way, I shot it at this guy, it will then be instanced on the server. The server then will track that weapon, and the server will decide if there was a hit. That comes down to some fairness issues. If you've looked into making games for the internet and networking, there's all kinds of issues with the way that people can manipulate, well, cheat. Let's just use the word cheat. They can cheat. So anyhow, that's where we're at now. We got a little bit of a new track in the background, and a script that you guys can't tell is running, that's controlling the music right now. The music has two parts. When it first runs, it launches the first part of the track, and then once enough of the music has been running, it goes into the body of the track. Something else that will be possible is, because of the engine itself, I'll be able to change the pitch and tempo of music and kind of key it to the speed of what's going on the screen. So some tracks will be able to speed up and slow down to match what's going on. Not sure by how much or if I'm going to bother doing it, but it might be neat to play with that. But this is where we're at. We have some rudimentary HUD working. I'm nowhere near the point where I want to do the redesign the whole interface yet. That's come. Whoa, hit a rock. Wasn't paying attention and hit an asteroid. But yeah, so we've got our boost. And now that we have navigation aids, moving around in space is a little easier to know where you're at and what you're hunting. Because if you remember some of the earlier videos when Jim was playing, oh, it needs some turbo to slow down or I'm going to hit the edge of the universe. When I was, yeah, here's a good example. If we didn't have that selection, it's really hard to know where the other guys are. You have to count on seeing their thrusters. So doing this, oh, the white is the center of the universe, but doing this, now I get a hope of, or a chance of finding another player, fighter, or target. And like many of you play other space games, would be used to these targeting signals. They're kind of, I'd like to hope that they're intuitive. Anyhow, kind of long-winded, I kind of drifted off topic here and there, but if you like this kind of thing, you're probably still here. So anyhow, as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video, which is probably another update. Bye.